some point, the math is the math.
I think we can do a better job using that information.
It reinforces my belief that I have the best constituents.
Hello, Austin. Hello, Clawbackers. Happy Valentine's Day. We are in episode 6 of the Clawback Live. So glad to have everybody watching. A little early this morning. I've got my coffee with me. I don't know if you can see this in the screen. This is from the Austin Fire Department. They're Pass the Torch. This is a good logo too. Pass the Torch Academy. Some great work that they do at the fire department. Sharing my morning coffee with them today. I hope everybody has a lovely Valentine's Day. Valentine's Day on a Friday. I mean, that's a real thing. I will be working most of the day like most people, but we all have the whole weekend to celebrate with our loved ones or wallow in our misery, I guess, is another option for Valentine's Day. Let's dig in right to the main stuff. This was Land Development Code Week. Not the first, not the last, but a big milestone as we think about the future of growth and development and buildings and neighborhoods and all the things in Austin. I want to just kind of give a high-level overview of what's going on. So this week, last night, about 8:30, we took the second reading vote, which is the second of 3 votes you have to take in order to adopt any ordinance, actually, but especially one that is this important and this complicated. So we took that second reading vote last night. There's been some question about how much time we're spending working on this and is it sufficient. The work that we've done so far started in October. Well, I mean, it started way before October. It actually started about 8 years ago, even before 10-1 Council existed, when they initiated, after Imagine Austin, they initiated the code rewrite process. And through many fits and starts, we have finally reached this point. In those intervening years, there have been numerous meetings and engagements. We did over 20 meetings in District 6 alone. There were notices sent to every property owner in 2018. There was an election held in November 2018 about whether or not a code should have to be adopted by the voters or whether or not the council adopts a code. And of course, that election confirmed the practice that city councils adopt ordinances. That's how government works. But even just since October, the current draft that we're in, this kind of second draft, the first draft came in October, about 1,300 pages and a map. And we did many amendments at first reading as we all incorporated this 1,300 page document. But since then, we have narrowed it down. So we went from 1,300 pages to review in October to about 120 pages of staff amendments. Not all of those 120 pages are things that were changed. Some of them were things that they didn't change as they responded to the things that the council members, myself included, amended in October. And now, at second reading, we were down to about 19 pages. So we very methodically and carefully narrowed down the scope of changes and questions. That is the point of 3 readings. You've got the whole McGill at first reading. You narrow that down. You cut it down to 10% of questions, right? 1,300 to about 120 pages. And then you narrow that down to another 10%, 120 to about 19 pages. So by the time we get to third reading, my hope is that we're down to just the last key questions that we need to resolve before we adopt the code. Third reading tentatively scheduled for the end of March, so that's about 4, 5, 6 weeks. Plenty of time to get through these last remaining questions and issues on the Land Development Code. And of course, that's not where it stops. The Land Development Code is not adopted in March and then suddenly magically things start changing in the city. There's process related to implementation. You got to train the staff. You got to set up the technology. You got to roll out the criteria manuals. The code is not the only thing that is created. There's the manuals that engineers use about how many inches does the curb have to be and how far away does the gutter have to be and all those things that the engineers handle. Once we adopt the more kind of high-level policy, the criteria manuals will come. We are talking about a map refinement process where once we adopt the main map, We can go kind of in a small area planning process is one idea, or it might be recommendations from certain neighborhoods, or it might be documents submitted in public meetings. We're still working through that process. And then in the map refinement process, it would be more like a zoning change where there'd be additional notice and engagement and valid petitions and all those things that don't apply when you're adopting the entire city all at once. And in those last few months, since October, I have been talking about the Land Development Code on this show, my live show, which is still funny to think about having a live show, but I have a live show, almost every episode since we started doing this. I think it was in October. If I remember correctly, I think it was related to the Land Development Code and wanted to keep folks updated on it. So you can go back. All of the archives are on my Facebook page. We're going to work to get those archives put up on jimmyflannigan.com. You can see a few, episode 13, 14, and 15 up on the website. But we went into a lot of detail. We put up photos of the maps and showed the zones and showed you all the resources. You can, I'm going to point to the screen, right there. There it is. You can see all of the information on the city's website, austintexas.gov/LDC. And that website has all the information that we did at second reading. It has all the information from first reading. It has maps. The maps are great. They're like Google Maps. You can scroll around. You can click on things. You can see all the level of detail. One of the things that I found really compelling as we've been going through this process was when the consultants that we've engaged this time around, who have worked across the country doing land development codes in other cities, have unequivocally said that Austin has done the most research, has looked at the most data, has done the most analysis of any city that they have ever seen writing a land development code. And isn't that just how we are in Austin? We want to make sure we get stuff right. We do, however, also have this history of not doing stuff because we're not sure that it's perfect. Over the years, there have been many phrases to describe that. If we don't build it, they won't come. I think we know that doesn't work. Obviously, our challenging infrastructure is evidence of that. There have been plenty of failed bond elections and failed initiatives, all wrapped up in this notion that unless we can accurately and specifically predict every little thing that's going to happen in the future, well, we better stick with what we have. The problem with that is what we have are still some problems. We've got affordability issues, traffic issues, we have climate change issues related to growth and development. These are things that are exacerbated by the status quo. And you cannot solve a problem caused by the status quo by maintaining the status quo. We have to change. We have to accommodate the reality that our city is facing. Of course, District 6 knows this more than anyone else. Most of District 6 was built before the city annexed it. So there's a lot of emotions around annexation, which I'm not going to go into. But folks were moving and building farther and farther and farther into the greenfield areas, into the undeveloped areas, because the city of Austin wasn't allowing more housing to be built closer into where the jobs were, where the restaurants were, where the grocery stores were. And so things started to spread out. They started to sprawl. And that has been doubled and tripled and quadrupled down by prior councils, by councils under the old at-large system, who represented primarily one part of town, but didn't really understand what we were facing out in the surrounding areas in the suburbs. It is time to move past that. I think that was the point of 10-1. And now every part of the city has representation. Everybody has a seat at the table. This is not an easy process, but it is an important one. And we're dealing with a lot of different issues. And I want to kind of end with, at least on the Land Development Code for this week, this concept of trust. And folks keep bringing up this notion that there has been a trust broken. Difficult decisions are difficult, and we all want to have a trust relationship. I want to have that with all of my colleagues. I want to have it with the community, and I think the community wants to have that with the council and with its leaders, and not just at the city. I wish we had a trust relationship with the governor, and I wish we had a trust relationship with the president, and those aren't things that we have right now. The better question is, how do we get there? State and federal politics aside, when we're talking about the city of Austin, we are all each other's neighbors. I run into many of you at HEB. I run into you at the coffee shops, and we talk. And if you see me at a Starbucks or at Cup of Austin, or you see me at HEB, don't hesitate to come up and talk to me. I did see, I don't know if you were watching, but I did see one couple, I was in HEB, and then they walked past and I heard them say, oh, I think that's the council member guy. I'm like just a regular dude. I'm not this like politician going far away. You come talk to me. But the point is, we are neighbors. We're all trying to do the same thing. We're all trying to address affordability. We want to address traffic. We want to be serious about climate change. That's what we are trying to accomplish with this. And as guilty as I have been about characterizing folks who disagree with me on these issues, or I'm passionate and I'm not afraid to argue and really get into the issues facing District 6 in the city, I always know and believe that we're all trying to do what we think is the right thing. Where trust is hard to repair is when accusations are made about motives or conspiracy theories or other things which are just not true. There's a fair debate about how much housing goes, where, and how. That's a fair debate, and we're having that debate. But if you're not winning the debate and you start pivoting into, well, you're corrupt or you're in the pocket of so-and-so or whatever, that is the action that harms the trust. Disagreement doesn't harm trust. Tone and narrative and engagement and relationships harm trust. So that is my hope. And I think we ended great at second reading. The first couple of days were a little rough, but I think we ended well. I still believe that there is room for folks to come together as long as we still continue to work together. When I ran for office in 2016, that was my campaign slogan. We can fix Austin together. And that's what it means. We're not always going to agree. We're not always going to say the right solution is for the right problem, but we're going to keep doing this work together. That's why I do the live show. That's why I do a monthly town hall. That's why I do other engagements. That's why I do speaking engagements. That's why I do all the things that I do. I want to hear and I want us to work together. And I want everyone to understand the hard choices that face this community. And I believe that we're going to get there. And I still believe Austin is the greatest city in the nation, and it is such an honor to represent it and to represent District 6. So we're headed towards third reading. That's where we'll be in March. We are cleaning up the last bits of this work. Please continue to email my office. I'm trying to email everybody back. I think I've done pretty good on that, but don't be afraid to contact us. Of course, it's right there. All of the information, austintexas.gov/LDC. You can contact my office, District 6 at austintexas.gov. So I think that's enough on the land code for today. I want to do one other topic, which I think is our favorite topic to talk about. So what I want to talk about under the traffic report today is really about Project Connect, and we've talked about Project Connect a couple of times. We had a mobility committee meeting this week where we brought in Cap Metro to talk about the latest updates for that proposal, which you may recall from prior episodes. The proposal is a train that goes down the spine of the city from Tech Ridge to Slaughter, and a train from downtown to the airport. So you could actually take a train to the airport, which is a cool thing. There are proposals and ideas about doing part of that underground, certainly downtown where the grid is really tight and you wouldn't be able to run enough buses and etc. Cap Metro has been doing a national peer review of all the assumptions. How much is it going to cost? What is the ridership? What is the governance? And we had the presentation from this peer review panel this week. And I gotta say, all credit to Cap Metro for doing this the right way. The peer review came back and said they have no issues with any of the data. All of the assumptions made are accurate. And in fact, not only are they accurate, they are overestimating the risk. One of the key details, the question that I asked in mobility was this relationship between the City of Austin and Cap Metro. We're really building a tighter relationship. How does that compare to other jurisdictions, and how does that impact the ability to do this right? And they said that it is almost singular in its relationship across transit agencies elsewhere in the country. But more importantly, the elements that cause these projects to go astray, either on cost or timeline, they tend to do that when certain elements are not part of the team. If you have to do a lot of land purchase, let's say for right-of-way, or if you have to deal with a private utility company to move a water pipe or to move a power line. But in Austin, the city, for the most part, controls the roads, but also the water pipes, and also the drainage pipes, and also the electric lines. We're all on the same page. So when they said in the report that about 20% of the capital cost comes from utility relocation, I looked over at Councilmember Kitchen and I thought, man, this is a lot of upside for us. And I asked that question. I said, at this stage, this relationship between the city and Cap Metro, what does that mean? I said, does it mean that all of these estimates are far more likely to get smaller in terms of cost? And they agreed. And that's what's really exciting. We're not cooking the books, we're not fudging the numbers. In fact, we're being incredibly conservative with how we're doing these estimates. And again, credit to Cap Metro for that. And as we refine these numbers, it's only going to get better. It's only going to get stronger for the city so that we can actually get to these long-term transportation solutions that we know we need, and that we're going to do it for the long haul, for a generational change, and make an investment in the city that we know we need. So I'm excited about that. It was a great presentation. Again, credit to Cap Metro. We'll be talking a lot more about that in the future. That's all we're going to do for today. Thanks again, everybody, for watching. Please share the video. You can go back on my website, jimmyflannigan.com, and watch the last few. Of course, the total history is on my Facebook page, facebook.com/Flannigan for Austin. When you go onto the website, please make a donation. We are in re-election mode. There's so much work to do and so much work yet to be done. And I want to make sure that we are all working on this, work together. And that's how we're going to do it. Thanks, Austin.